Hi Dan, thank you for joining me. I've got Dan here from the Aspie world today.
Hello, how's it going?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Yeah, I'm really good.
Good.
Been busy.
Yeah. So to give people a bit of an overview in terms of Dan, he is got a YouTube channel with thousands of followers, active on all various different platforms, talking mainly about autism and how. Well, I'll let you explain a bit more, Dan. Tell me about Dan
Sure.
and I met probably a couple of years ago. You were a speaker at an event, and then you kindly came in and joined us at Entice and shared some of your insights with our team. So let you hand over to you to give you a bit of an overview about what you do and who you are.
Sure, yeah, no worries. Yeah, so I'm I guess a social media entrepreneur, but I kind of do I do social media content creation, which is the entrepreneurial part, like as a social media influencer. But then I also I'm a consultant. I'm a marketing consultant for digital and social media because a lot of people have issues. How do I run Facebook ads? Like how do I create marketing funnels? Like what's the best way to deal with customers? Does this copy work? All that kind of stuff. So I do a bit of both. I do a bit of everything all in turn, and that's kind of like how we were kind of like connected because I was giving a talk in an autism event, and you overheard me talking about one of my obsessions of like SEO and marketing and that kind of stuff and growth strategy, and so we kind of connected, and I came in to do a bit of a talk because I think a lot of the stuff I know a lot of people don't know, and I think like it's super valuable to hand out. But that's mainly still like my main bread and butter is making educational content for the autism community online. That's pretty much what I do.
And so what was your way to get to where you are? Was your passion all about, like you said, putting that content out there? Did you feel that the content that you produce would have been something that would have been helpful to you, perhaps growing up with autism, and that's your goal really, to make people understand certain areas, and as part of that the social following has grown, or was it your intention to want to have these social platforms and it naturally lended itself to autism?
So I guess neither. So how it happened was kind of really fluky. Like I when I was diagnosed with Asperger's syndrome, because I was diagnosed prior to the DSM-5 change, where they changed it to just autism spectrum disorder as a blanket cover. So I was diagnosed with Asperger's syndrome, ADHD, and OCD together, but I also had dyslexia, a diagnosis earlier on than that. So when I actually had the Asperger's syndrome diagnosis, I knew nothing about autism. So first thing I did is, and I've always been a super nerd. I love computing. I love computers. And I've done a course in like camera production and how to, film things and stuff like that. And I did a course on websites and building websites and stuff. So I decided to go home and go on YouTube and type in Asperger's syndrome, and all the content I found was rubbish. It was just like, dark, dingy, not entertaining, not engaging. And I was like, oh my God, I felt worse after watching it. I thought, oh God, that's horrible. So I decided that I would put out some of my own videos because maybe somebody was in the same position I was in and they could find some relative kind of content that they can feel, represents them and they feel part of the community. So that was why I did it. And then the rest kind of happened by accident. So like I put the video out and I didn't know anything about YouTube. I didn't know how YouTube worked. I didn't know it was like a subscriber thing. I didn't know if it could be a job, but like I didn't know any of those things. And then more and more people wanted more and more content. So I designated most of my time to this. Now I love creating stuff. I'm a musician, a multi-musician, and obviously I make videos and I just love creating stuff. Like I love it. So I was like, yeah, man, I'll make videos because it's something creative and it keeps me kind of interested. So I started making more videos and more people, and it naturally kind of spills over to the other platforms because people want to know what you're doing in your daily life. So follow you on Instagram, or they'll follow you on Twitter, or they'll want to know if you've got a Facebook page. And then it came to a critical point where you had to have those social media platforms if you wanted to have a successful business model, because you have to follow attention. So I was like, okay. And then the big takeoff, like the success part, the fact that I've got this 100,000 subscriber class behind me. So
this is amazing. Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, this is something YouTube gives people when they surpass 100,000 subscribers. I've actually got 145,000 subscribers now. So, but that's like a year ago or something. I had that one. But in terms of the growth of everything I do online, when I started putting out those videos, I really enjoyed helping people. So I was like, wow. And then more and more people kept saying like, oh, more people need to see this stuff, and I think it could be valuable. So I was like, okay, how do I reach more people on my videos? How can I make a greater impact? And that really was like the spark for me, because I then studied literally every single thing I could about YouTube marketing. How do I market something on YouTube? How do I grow my channel? And it was really funny. I don't know if I told you this story when I was doing my talk, but one of the funniest things that happened was in January 2018. I was watching all this kind of stuff about. There's a YouTube channel called what's it called? What the hell? Video influencers, and then
well done.
they interview people about success stories, people who've like really made it in YouTube and how they did it, how did they hack the algorithms and all this kind of rubbish. And so I was watching these gurus thinking like, whoa, these guys are amazing. And I watched every video, and I was up to like 3 o'clock in the morning watching all these videos and learning everything I could. And it's really funny. So that was in January 2018. Then in June 2018, I was invited over to VidCon in LA with YouTube to do some networking and hanging out with people. Yeah. And I wasn't speaking at that event. I did eventually speak last year at VidCon, which was crazy. But this time I was just over there hanging out. And when I was hanging out, I was hanging out with a guy who runs video influencers. And I was talking to him about some of my growth strategy. And the guy was like, well, he almost fell off his seat. He was like, whoa, what are you doing? These are all like crazy hacks. Do you want to come on their channel and be interviewed? And I was like, yeah, okay, cool. So it went like from me watching these people being like, oh, so then me being on the channel, giving people advice. And I thought, oh my goodness, it was so meta, it was unreal. So, and then the rest is history. Like I got obsessed with social media, digital media marketing, like how these systems run. I just love it. I love feeling like, I don't know, I kind of flow with those systems. I love it. It's just amazing.
And I think for you, I mean, you've mentioned there that you've been to talks and you've heard how other people are doing, how they've gained their success. But I think for you, it's very much been, you've paved the way for yourself and you've kind of figured out what works for you. And I think what works for you, obviously, is the passion in terms of your content. I think you've got to just go for it, really, haven't you? I think sometimes you've got to accept the fact that not every single thing you put out there is going to be perfect, but just get it out there.
Well, there's there's loads of factors. I mean, like for instance, Asperger's syndrome is such a niche market. Like, I never even thought I'd get 100,000 subscribers, let alone 145,000 subscribers. Because it's so niche. It's such a you got to think 1 in 100 people are affected by autism in the UK, and 1 in 60 in the United States, which is not the biggest numbers of something. When you think like if I was doing a diet channel, probably 1 in 2 people think about having a diet, So when you think about those numbers, then you would think, okay, well, yeah, a diet channel would get 100,000 subscribers easy. But when you talk about Asperger's syndrome, super niche. But that gave it the edge. There was nobody in that kind of market, right?
Yeah.
And so, and coming down to things like, you said like, sometimes you put content out, not a lot of people like it. Yeah. And what you do is you pivot and learn. This is what we do when you data analysis. When you check things, you look at the data. What do the analytics tell you? Well, people like videos about Asperger's, but don't like things about dyslexia. So get rid of the dyslexia videos. Let's refine the ones we're doing about Asperger's. And so I think it's a work in progress. It's a constant thing, which I love about kind of internet marketing, is because you've got to look at how the trends move and how people move and what they like, what they don't like. And but you like you're saying, paving the way is kind of like creating an audience based on content that was not really available. I think that was kind of like one of the fun things to do. But it's funny because now there's like 100 autism like YouTubers, and nobody's as big as me, but like they're getting there.
But do you know what? A lot of those will have been inspired by you. They will have seen you starting it, and actually, I'm sure some of them credit you in terms of their content or refer back to you, or you're kind of their benchmark in terms of where they want to be. So
maybe I hope so. But crazy.
So I mean, you must have a lot of people. You must have like a fan base now. I know they follow you on social platforms, but it's almost like, do you get a lot of messages asking you, I've got some of these, I've experienced what you've been through. Where do I go? How do I start? How do I get myself out there? Do you get constantly a lot of messages, a lot of questions?
I am looking to hire somebody because you wouldn't believe how busy I am. Like I probably get about in an average month, I'll get about anywhere from 5,000 to 10,000 communications in a month. So I'll give you an email, a tweet, a DM, a flipping text message, and constantly, people are constantly asking. And one of the cleverest things I did is I took all of those questions from the past like 3 years and I consolidated them down to like the 7 most common areas. And then I made an online course, which I'm about to launch, called Inside Autism. Okay. I think you can sign up for the pre-course at it's learnautism.net. So if you go to learnautism.net, you can sign up for the pre-course.
Okay. And how are you doing that? Are you doing that in person then? Is it like a workshop, or
No,
is it
it's
pre-recorded?
Yeah, so it's completely evergreen. It's online.
Okay.
And then I think that the first part is that I give, so to get people on the waiting list, I give away like a free ebook, a PDF, which is an Autism Life Hacks PDF book. And then they're straight onto a waiting list then, and then they get the email when the webinar is going live, and they watch the webinar. So basically, the first part of the course is free. There's like a first part of the web course is free, and then they can buy into like the more advanced stuff if they think it's for them. That's the idea. I didn't want to either put a product out that people weren't going to use and then they waste their money on, because that's not going to help anybody. And then I didn't want to put a free product out because then the value would be decreased, right? You wanted to put out a good value product that people are going to find useful. So that's how you test the market. So yeah, the amount of people who message me is unprecedented. Being verified on Instagram and being verified on Facebook and YouTube is really good, because it kind of gives you this like celebrity kind of like, oh, and it's kind of cool because when you get that level of kind of verification, because you are in the media and you've been on those TV shows, then other celebrities want to contact you. So I'm friends with like Niall from Love Island. I don't know if you've ever seen. He was a guy who had Asperger's who was Love Island, and so I'm really good friends with him. I'm helping him set up his YouTube channel.
Which would you say, if you could only keep one platform, which is your go-to? Which is your bread and butter?
Oh, this is so difficult. Like I don't know. It changes, So I think what's funny is something that I haven't mentioned is I've also launched my own membership website with my own membership content on it. So I started my own social media platform where people pay a subscription for premium content from me. I'm not like OnlyFans. I mean, like, it's just videos, it's like educational videos and stuff. So it's kind of like, it's levelupautism.net, which is my membership website. So all my Level Up Autism crew, they go in there, they pay their $27 a month, and then we have these, two monthly coaching calls like this in a group, and then we have like content that gets stripped out using like an LMS system that I built. I built the whole back end. I built the whole funnel myself because I was like, I'm not going to pay somebody. I'm not going to be a Russell Brunson ClickFunnels dude. Like I wanted to do.
It's a self-taught area, isn't it, as well? So
that's another thing. Like I thought, if I want to do it properly, I want to know what I'm doing, right? And I don't want anybody taking a slice of the pie, because I want to control it, and I wanted to. So I did this, and it's so cool. That at the moment is probably my favorite one.
Do you do the content? You write the content, and do you work with anybody on the creative side? Because I notice all your creators look strong. Are you still
everything's 100%
producing
me,
everything?
Yeah, 100% me. Yeah. I don't. The only thing we have is we have an editor, and the only thing we outsource for is editing for videos. But I say editing, when he's not editing. I've given the guy a blueprint. Akram, his name is. He's such a cool guy. So I gave him a blueprint, and he has a drive folder, and he literally just goes, that's where that goes.
It just comes down to time, doesn't it? Really?
Yeah, it's just time. I give them the jigsaw pieces. Yeah. And he cuts out the. I even do I give him a B-roll content map, which means that this is exactly this minute. This is where this piece of footage comes in. Use this color grade. I give him the color grade preset. I made the color grade and the audio presets, and I gave them to him. Like, it's just crazy. But the idea to me was that Akram can do it, but if Akram's sick or wants to leave the team, I can have somebody else to do it, and they can just go straight in. It's a no-brainer.
You've got the kind of guidelines there. You know what you're doing with it. So it's just a case of somebody pulling it together.
Yeah, I mean that's not really creative. That's just engineering, really. He's just putting things together. But yeah, everything creative myself. I do all the copy myself because I studied ad copywriting. I use emotional value calculators to calculate all headlines. I test with Facebook ads. I got a rule of 3, so I test 3 Facebook ads at any one time. So I get one Facebook ad that I want to do. I create 3 versions of copy, 3 creatives, and 1 strong headline, because that's all you need is 1 strong headline. And then I run those 3 over a 24-hour period from midnight to midnight. Then I check the data, see which one converted the highest, and then I go and refine the most highest converted one. And then I run that for a week and see how that performs. And then that needs refining, I refine it again. Because Facebook ads is always evolving.
And I think depending on the nature of the company that you're working with, obviously different platforms will be more relevant. So we find when we're working with our service-based clients, for example, LinkedIn is sometimes more relevant than perhaps Facebook if it's business to business.
I wouldn't pay for LinkedIn ads. They're so expensive.
LinkedIn ads are expensive. Yeah, definitely. Do you set up LinkedIn? Is that something you ventured into as well?
Yeah, we got 11,000 followers on LinkedIn. We promote content on LinkedIn constantly. I don't know if you'll see my Facebook, my LinkedIn profile, my personal one will be saturated by content from me, but also my business page. You can go to the Aspie World business page on LinkedIn. That is saturated with content as well. And we actually have a lot of people coming over from LinkedIn. We are actually on every single social media platform, including Vero, which is an Australian platform that appeared about 3 or 4 years ago and then fizzled out. You never know what the value of content will, and it's good to be on those things because they verified
it's
me and
still
stuff.
ranking, isn't it? And it's still being picked up. So
yeah, you get backlinks from it still.
So how do you fit all this in? Do you sleep many hours a night?
Not really, no. I kind of start working about between 5 and 6 o'clock in the morning. Start working. I work primarily, and this is a game changer. This is the game changer. I work primarily on an iPad Pro, which I'm talking to you on right now, including having one of these, and I have the set of this thing. Oh, I can actually show you. This should work, right? So if I do this thing, this is like a keyboard setup for the iPad Pro. Having this combination gives me tactile, creative, hands-on editing videos. I'm using my hands to move things around. It's crazy good.
And I think that's definitely the future, because I noticed when my daughter's on a laptop, she's straight away, she's hands-on. She's not about the mouse or the keyboard. They're straight in with the hands, and actually it makes sense, doesn't it? You can get so much more into it so much more quickly and be a lot more creative and be a lot freer.
Of course. And like talking, like I dictate to my iPad and it creates those blog posts. So you can get work done like this. Like efficiency is super, super awesome when you have the right tools. So I start working at 6 and then I stop working about 7:30, 8 o'clock at night, maybe. Sometimes I work till midnight. And then it's back on it. And that's every single day. So, and I love that because I kind of took some time off over Christmas, and it almost drove me insane getting to the end. Like, and I didn't completely stop working. I tell a lie. I said I stopped working, but I didn't. From 7:30 till about 8:30 every night, I come down and I do stuff on my blog. So,
So what do you do to wind down? What's a break for you? Do you have the weekends off?
No, not really. But like the thing I really like doing is I love running.
Good, another runner. I'm a runner.
Oh, nice. Yeah, no. So I used to run like 4 miles every single day. Then I decided that I would do 12 miles a week for over 3 days, and then give myself rest days because I wanted to kind of not lose too much weight, because you end up looking like a bit like skeletal. I also watch documentaries on things, so I want to learn new things all the time. So I watch documentaries on things. One of my favorite things at the moment is learning about Scientology. I was really into Scientology, not to become a Scientologist. I was really interested in Scientology as a whole in like 2007, 2005, like that kind of time. I was really, really researching it just to think like, what on earth is this craziness? It was really interesting. And so I'm watching one now, a new one that came out, a documentary by Leah Rami. It's really interesting, fantastic. Anyway, but then the other thing is recently I bought a virtual reality unit. I bought a Oculus Quest 2 because I feel like a lot of the future of gaming is in virtual reality, and I think a lot of social media can be in virtual reality as well. So I'm testing it, I'm playing with it, and I'm thinking about how I can create my own Aspie World platform on virtual reality, right? So because I want to get into that. And so I've been fascinated with virtual reality since the early 90s. So having good quality virtual reality from Facebook is just nuts. So I've been using that quite a bit. So yeah.
So in answer to my question, you don't really switch off, do you?
Well, no,
you're always on.
No, I don't. I can't. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's because of my brain's wired differently. I don't know if it's ADHD. If I sit and do nothing, I feel like I could be doing so many things that are productive. Yeah. I have this kind of motto. I don't recreate, I create. So people do recreation or recreation, which is playing football is recreational, right? And people say exercise is recreational, but it's not, it's not. It's actually creational because you're creating new things. You're pushing your body to its length. You're creating new kind of muscle tears. It's creating strength. That is not recreational. Recreation is doing something that somebody's done 1,000 times. Like paint by numbers is recreational, right? I don't like recreation because it is the dumbing down of the creative intelligence. That's how I feel about it. That's my personal view on it. So I don't do sports. Like it's like, I can't stand sports, man.
Doesn't suit you.
And then it's kind of like I have to do something. I'm like saying to people, like, rather than kick a football at a bunch of dudes in shorts, why don't you go out and create something different? Make your own game. Do something different. Like, there's nothing wrong with activity, physical activity, but why don't you create something? Why are you just running around? It's like running on a treadmill inside a box. It's like, oh.
Yeah, interesting. No, good to know. So what about holidays? Do you switch off on holiday? Would that be something that even comes into your calendar?
Well, the last holiday we went on before all this kind of craziness, we went to San Francisco because it's one of my obsessions. So people on the autism spectrum have obsessive interest, which I love. And I was obsessed with San Francisco because it's chopped up into districts, right? And I love that. I love how it's chopped up into various different districts. I was like, wow. So we went to San Francisco and I just nerded out over all the districts in San Francisco and the history of Chinatown, because it was the largest Chinatown outside of Asia until 2011, when New York became the largest Chinatown outside of Asia. So all that kind of stuff just fascinates me. So when I go on holiday, it's more of a educational type holiday. And like a bit of
it's not a lying on a beach sleeping.
No, I've never done that. No. And I don't know if I could do that. Like, I don't know. I mean,
it probably feel very stressful to you if that doesn't come natural, if that's not for you.
No, I'd just be itching the whole time. I think it is ADHD, man. And I believe it or not, I'm actually on medication for ADHD. You wouldn't even believe it, because I still feel like
it's good though, because you've channeled your energy in a positive way. You're making it work for you, and in some respects, I think it shows that what you do, what your job is your hobby. So it's almost like you are constantly not working, but you're constantly living out your dream, living out your hobby, really, aren't you? So
creating, I mean, like, I don't know if I could ever stop. Like, I often think to myself, when will there be an end?
The end game?
So I don't think, well, to be honest with you, I don't think Facebook will ever disappear. It's such a force now. It's the most advanced marketing system that's ever been created. Facebook is unbelievable, and that's not just me saying it because I like Facebook. No. Of any marketing that's ever been created, Facebook is the most advanced system ever created. So if you want to market anything, the only place you should spend your money is Facebook. It's unbelievable. So will that ever die? No, Facebook is never going to die, but it will evolve and change and grow, and it will change the things, and I remember when I did a social media summit in MIT in Boston in America. I was hired, and I got this. They paid, like, it was ridiculous. They paid for me to do this, like, summit with other kind of social media influencers who had disabilities. And one of the things that we were being taught by one of the specialists in social media in MIT, because this is one of their courses they do, right? Which is crazy. And they said that Facebook announced that the future is private. It's social, but it's private. It's WhatsApp. It's Facebook Messenger. It's all of these DMs.
Groups.
Yeah. And I was like, groups. And I was like, whoa, holy smokes. So it's never going to disappear, but it's always going to be there.
It's just going to change, evolve, adapt. I mean, when you think Friends Reunited wasn't so far ahead of Facebook, but it was just a million miles away in terms of execution and how it's moved on. So
well, I think MySpace dropped the ball. Like, Tom's MySpace dropped the ball. I was on MySpace. Actually, I was on Geocities. I don't know if you remember Geocities, a Yahoo plugin. It was a page builder, right? And this was years before social media was a thing. And so Yahoo had this page builder called Geocities, where if you had a Yahoo account, you'd log into Geocities,
as a community.
You build your own web page, and it was really terrible, like Mark Queen, like GIF backgrounds of stars and all this kind of blue text on black background, all the horrible no-nos, the tacky 90s websites. And I loved it. GeoCities was amazing. But what it allowed for is people to find your GeoCities sites through their kind of directory on Yahoo. And I was like, whoa, shoot, this is powerful, man. This is how you can build a list. So when MySpace came out, I was all over it. I had a huge MySpace following. I loved it. When MySpace died, I was very sad. I was reluctant to go to Facebook, but then I realized I'm being an idiot. Follow the attention.
Yeah. So to sort of wrap things up a bit, I guess there's so many people now that, young people, their kind of dream job is not so much wanting to be a hairdresser or a teacher anymore. So many people want to be like YouTubers. And if you could give some advice to people that's their absolute dream, they're starting out, how would you kind of summarize where to start and what your advice would be?
So my advice is that, like, what we're looking at now, we're looking at 7 to 9 billion people on the planet, right? You've got 1 billion 300 million active users on Facebook, on YouTube. And on Facebook, you're looking at almost 2 billion active users on Facebook, right? That's a lot of audience. So when everyone tells you that the market's saturated, they're talking out of their bum holes because it's not saturated. It's never going to be saturated. Never. There's too many people on the planet. There's always audiences for you. This is what I would say. This is going to be the golden rule that you can take away from this. If you are interested in hairdressing, but you want to be a YouTuber, combine the two together.
Yeah.
That's it. And create content, documenting your journey, create content, educating people, because this is it. If you want to be a YouTuber, that's fine, or a Facebook or whatever. As long as you have value to offer somebody, no matter what the value is, as long as you say, yeah, this is valuable to somebody, if it's entertainment, it could be mental health check-ins, right? It doesn't matter what it is. As long as it's valuable to somebody, there'll always be an audience for it. So go for it, don't let anybody knock you down, but go for it and do it properly. A lot of people kind of go in and disheartened. They'll start a channel, they'll get 200 subscribers, and then nothing for a year. Nothing.
I think it's the consistency, like you said. It's the consistency, having a plan, because I think before you almost set up your channel and post your first video, what's the next one? What's the one after that? Unless you've got some content that's going to keep you going.
Right.
It's like anything, really, isn't it? It's like having a blog on your website. If it becomes out of date, people are not interested, whereas you've got to have that consistency and value to it.
Of course.
And like you mentioned earlier, having that communication two-way. So if people are leaving you positive comments, you do see that majority of the accounts that are doing particularly well acknowledge those. Maybe not all of them, but endeavor to get back to people and be real, show the interest.
But here's something that's fascinating me right now, that I think would be a golden tip for anyone who's going to start a YouTube channel. I think this is the way forward. I'm going to test this as well. Now, one of the most successful subscription-based services in the world is Netflix. Netflix has a $100 billion turnover. This is an incredible company. It's not like Tesla and SpaceX or Facebook, but it's getting there. Now, why is Netflix so successful? Because its hook point, it had two hook points, right? Its first hook point was that there was no late fees when it first started sending out DVDs. There's no late fees. Blockbuster used to find people. That was really interesting. So hook point. The second hook point, they invented binge watching. And you're like, Dan, binge watching's been around forever. And I'm like, yeah, I know. But when you are watching EastEnders or whatever, or Days of Our Lives, you get an episode every week. And you have to watch that every week. Then you have to wait a week for the episodes. Netflix said, fine, here's Stranger Things season 1. And you can binge it in one night. And what this did is it allowed people to stay on that platform long enough to go back and watch those same things because they feel like it was great, and they have this mutual understanding that Netflix said, hey, you can have every single episode in one go. So they want to go and rewatch that. So it keeps them on the platform, it keeps them relative. So this is my thing. The Netflix hook point made them travel to $100 billion turnover, right, as a company. That's an incredible amount of money. If you want to do something on YouTube that nobody's doing, why not release a series of videos in one go? And that's, I don't know, nobody's done it. I've not seen anyone do it. Shane Dawson tried to do it with this. Is like, he did those documentary type things. We had 3 parts that were like 2 hours long, and they were great, but he stopped them. And it did work really well. But imagine he had like a 20 episode series that he'd filmed, and they dropped the whole thing at once. What you're going to have is consistent algorithm check-ins, because a lot of people think that having people coming back to YouTube is going to be the best way. Keeping people on YouTube,
keep them there is rewarded. Yeah, absolutely. Keep them there. Get them addicted, and
well, there you go.
Don't let them go. Thank you. No, that's been really helpful. It's been really interesting, Dan. Never fail to bring something to the table and new content. It's fascinating to see how you've been doing this for a number of years now, but it still feels fresh, still feels new. We can see that you're absolutely passionate about it. We don't know when we'll all be back in the office, but when we are, we'd love to get you back in to come and see us once we're safe to do so, and have a chat with what we're doing, share some of our ideas with you, bounce things around, because we felt it was great last time. Really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was good fun. It was.
Yeah, no, well, thanks very much for joining me today, and enjoy the rest of your day. Don't work too hard. Get your run in.
I know.
And look forward to catching up with you soon.
All right, mate. Thanks a lot.
Thanks very much. Speak to you soon.